Boom, way too bright. That's better. Hey, what's up everyone? So I got a pretty quick video for you today, and I kind of just want to talk about Micro Four Thirds and whether or not it's still the best option for budget filmmakers. It's one of the most asked questions that I get is what camera to buy, and the cameras that I typically recommend are the Panasonic G7, the G85, or the M50. But typically what I try to ask first is, what are you trying to do with the camera? If you just want to start a YouTube channel and you want something super easy to use, that's going to give you some shallow depth of field with the right lenses, then that's where I typically recommend the Canon M50. But pound for pound, I think that if you're talking about image quality and an overall well-rounded camera, that's where I would say the Panasonic G7 is still probably one of the cheapest and best options if that's what you're going for. In the used market, you can get the G7 for under $400 and it produces a really nice looking image. It's a pretty old camera, so it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that you might want, but for a small price increase, you can go for the Panasonic G85, which I've talked about on this channel a lot, and I absolutely loved that camera. And for just a little bit more, you could even go for the camera that I'm using right now, which is the EM1 Mark II by Olympus. This camera has quickly become one of my favorite cameras that I've ever used. It's got really good autofocus, insane image stabilization, and produces a really nice 4K image. But in the recent past, there have been a lot of cameras that have been coming out with larger sensors that really aren't that much more expensive. So it does kind of beg the question, is Micro Four Thirds going to be the best option for budget conscious filmmakers going into 2022? When I look for a camera, I always try to look for the price to performance ratio. So if something costs a lot of money, I'm going to expect a lot from it. When things outperform how much they should cost, that's when I get really stoked. And that's why I've been using Micro Four Thirds cameras for such a long time. They're super reliable, they never overheat. Most of them are weather sealed. Some of the best image stabilization has been put into Micro Four Thirds cameras, and they're just really well-rounded cameras. And with cameras like this EM1 Mark II, they have all of that plus really good autofocus. I still think that Micro Four Thirds obviously has a future. The new OM system camera is coming out, and the Panasonic G6 is going to be released soon. But I feel like if you're a budget filmmaker and you want the best image quality for the lowest price, Micro Four Thirds cameras are still a really good option. If you're a little bit more adventurous and you want to mess with hacking some cameras, then you could look into something like the Canon EOS M. There's a really big community of people that use that camera and they hack it with Magic Lantern to get raw video, and that would be the only camera that I would say is cheaper than a Micro Four Thirds camera and gives a better image. But you're gonna have to work a little bit for it and learn how to hack the camera and use it properly. And it's just not the most user-friendly way of getting a really good image. So just keep that in mind. But I still really do like Micro Four Thirds cameras, and I'm probably gonna be using this Olympus EM1 Mark II for the foreseeable future. I wanna know it so well that I can easily get great looking stuff out of this camera. So anyways, I just kinda wanted to talk a little bit about Micro Four Thirds cameras, and hopefully there was some helpful takeaways. Remember, it really doesn't matter what camera you use. A camera isn't gonna create beautiful images on its own. The person using it has to know how to do it. So just remember, creating great stuff is gonna rely on you a lot more than it is on your camera. Anyways, I hope you have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you want to watch some more of my videos, you can click right here. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Later.